Chapter 4, in which David sees more of city life than he had bargained for. 4! Ha! Chapter 4. 4. All that day they moved through the streets of New York, hawking their papers, separated, but always staying close enough for David to keep an eye on Les, then joining up again to compare their stories or get a bit of business advice from Jack. David observed the ever-changing panorama of the city with fascination. Drivers snapped their whips, urging their carriages up and down the avenues. Daring fellows darted between them, balanced on cycles with tall front wheels. Nursemaids pushed infants in perambulators. Okay, and messenger boys ran everywhere, clutching satchels to their chest. Because it's not a purse, it's a satchel. Wealthy men lunched on steak and oysters and ambled back to their offices, the problems of the world none too pressing. Oh, those Wall Street types. Surf and turf.
The Newsies occupied Wall Street first.
The Newsies did occupy Wall Street first. We love you guys, we really do. Once, a bell-clanging fire truck raced by, pulled by 6 snow-white stallions. What the fuck? How can they be Snow White if they live in New York City? Like, 5 minutes on the street, they're gonna get covered with, like, road dirt and soot, and I never understood that.
They're thinking of Oklahoma.
Well, see, you know what I never understood? The fucking street sweepers in the background are wearing, like, these white jumper things. It's like, you're a street sweeper. You are gonna get covered with mud and dirt and garbage. Why are you wearing white? Is it because it was July? Like, I don't know. It never made sense to me. Okay. Another time, David saw a policeman clubbing a man who had stolen an apple from a fruit stand. The sight of children coming home from school with their books in a strap filled him with envy, but he kept on hawking his papers. Again, Jonathan fucking last. It is July. There is no school in July. Ever.
He forgot.
He forgot. How could he forgot about Dre? That's what happened. He forgot about Dre. Like, this guy, he sucks at his job so hard. Honestly, guys, it's really sad, because if you Google Jonathan Fast, not Jonathan Last, as I not so affectionately call him, he's a very esteemed guy in his field and what he does. He's very reputable. But he just sucks at writing the Newsies novel, in which Kid Blink has no eye patch. Safe, no fucking eye patch. Leslie! In time, his feet grew sore and his back began to ache. Les, he noticed, now had a real sore throat from all his make-believe coughing, as well as a slightly green complexion. The result of drinking a glass of beer. Beer does not turn your fucking face green. Being a zombie turns your face green. Is this beer, like, laced with zombie juice? I don't know. A stunt he had performed in order to win a quarter from a gambler and sell his last paper.
That was only one sip, not a whole glass.
Yeah, it was one sip. All this for one sip of beer? Again, Jonathan Last sucks at his job. He did it so fast that he came in last place when writing this fucking book. They had just started on their way home when they heard somebody shout, "There he is! Officer, arrest that boy!" Looking back, David saw a cop in a blue uniform with 2 rows of gold buttons and a gold badge, and a second man in a black suit and a top hat. Cadaverous and hunched over like a vulture. Cadaverous that fucking means dead. So you're telling me Warden Snyder's like dead and cadaverous.
He's a zombie.
He is a zombie. Like, Mayor Jacobs has to get on this shit, like right now. Where was I? I'm fucking standing at the end of the alley. The man in the top hat was motioning toward him with a bony finger and talking excitedly. "Run for it," Jack shouted and took off. "You, Sullivan, stop, I say," shouted the man in the top hat, running after them. "Wait till I get you back to the refuge. I'll make you wish you'd never been born." The cop charged along behind him, blowing a silver whistle that made an ear-splitting sound and shaking a billy club in the most menacing way. My mother was right, David thought as he chased frantically after Jack. One day of selling newspapers and the police are after me, and I don't even know what I've done. Davy Jacobs. Oh my god, you worry too much. David and Les caught up with Jack in the next alley. "In here," Jack shouted, leading him to the door of a ramshackle tenement. Okay, cool. A soft amber light penetrated windows coated with grime. The air stank from cheap liquor and garbage, and rats shuffled through the shadows. The boys had... I have another fucking tweet. God damn it. The boys had to leap over men sleeping on the staircase, men in rags who couldn't afford a decent home. When they reached the first floor, they heard the two men enter the building. They gasped for breath and their feet clattered as they ran up the stairs. Hurry, Jack shouted to David and Les. They're gaining on us. Second floor, third floor, fourth floor. Connect 4! At least Les isn't crying, David thought, glancing back at his little brother. He was too scared to cry. These fucking kids! My God, this is what I call a regular fun day. They burst out a door onto the roof into the cool, fresh evening air. I thought it was daytime.
Insta-day. Insta-night.
Insta-night, apparently. David was amazed to see that it was almost a sort of town settled by the homeless. Every square foot of the tar paper was covered with makeshift shelters, tents that were nothing more than moth-eaten blankets stretched across ropes strung between chimneys, tin lean-tos, and packing crate tenements. Women tried to calm their howling babies while men stood over fires burning in garbage cans, cooking cans of beans, potatoes, and oxtail stew. Was food even canned back then?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, but what the fuck is oxtail stew?
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Ew, puke! This vision of despair froze David in his tracks. He remembered something his father often said. There but for fortune go I. What the fuck does that? I don't even know what that means. No time for sightseeing, Jack shouted. Follow me. A narrow wooden plank had been laid across the chasm between this tenement and the next. Chasm? Chasm! Jack grabbed Les, leapt up to the cornice. Never heard that word before, cornice. And carried him across the plank as gracefully as a high wire artist. Les beamed as though it was the best ride of his life. Ride 'em, cowboy. Ride 'em, cowboy. Hurry, he shouted back to David. They'll be here any second. I'm not crossing that thing, David muttered. He glanced back and saw the cop and the man in the top hat climb onto the roof and race toward them, trampling shelters and knocking people aside as they came. That made up his mind. The breeze picked up when he was halfway across. Finding the temptation irresistible, David glanced down. He had no idea he was up so high. The carriages looked like toys and the people no bigger than ants. He felt dizzy and began to stagger. Look at me, Jack ordered. David looked ahead to the next building where Jack stood, holding out his hand. I'll never let go, Jack.
I think that was a different Jack.
I don't fucking care. Just a few more steps, Jack said softly, urging him on. David reached the roof where Jack and Les were waiting and jumped down. That's the stuff, Jack said, slapping him on the back. He pulled away the plank, leaving the man in the top hat and the cop stranded on the roof of the first building, cursing and shaking his fists. See you around, Jack shouted to his pursuers, saluting them smartly. End of chapter 4.